guys, so this feels so weird because I like don't know how to like film and be expressive without my hands. I've filmed this video quite a few times, but I filmed it like with a full setup. The first time I filmed it with my mom, and it was just really long and intense, and it was still too soon after everything that happened. But I feel like I owe you guys an explanation. I'm about to upload a video, and you guys don't really know why I fell off the face of the earth. Like last you guys knew, I was putting my heart and soul into this. You know, I was traveling and performing and going to conventions, and I had songs being out, and I was in a movie, and then everything just came to a screeching halt. And it's like if this was somebody I was subscribed to, I would want to know what happened. So some of you that follow me on social media might know. I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm going to try not to cry, but I make no promises. So for those of you who might have somehow clicked on this video and don't know me, hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm 21 years old. I'm a musician. I've been a musician since I was little. Hey, look, there's my guitar. There's my VidCon poster, and there's the set list from the Vlogumentary. Sorry, got distracted. So I've been on YouTube for 9.5 years, which is crazy to me. This coming February will be my 10-year anniversary on YouTube, and oh, I'm like already emotional. I'm not even at the part that I thought would make me like emotional. It's been a big goal of mine to be back by that anniversary, and I mean back as in putting out content on a regular basis, you know, at least once a week. You know, there was a point where I was uploading every day. I'm not a daily vlogger. I'm a musician and sometimes make sit-down videos, so like trying to learn a new song every day was intense. Like I was putting my whole life into this, and I did it for so many years. You know, I guess I should start at the beginning, but we're gonna try to keep it short. And I can see the little, because I can't edit, but you'll hear why in a second, but I can see the little countdown at the top, so I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible, but there's like a lot of info, so bear with me. And you know, if maybe like get a cup of coffee and, you know, sit down with me, put on a cozy sweater. It's 60 something degrees in Florida today, so I like found an excuse to wear my favorite sweater. I don't even know how many times I've filmed in this sweater, but it's a lot. I need to start now. Can you tell I'm rambling because I'm nervous? Okay, so at the end of May of 2016, so like a year and a half ago almost, my dad had a heart attack, and it was a really bad heart attack. And for those of you that know anything about me or have watched my channel for years, you know my dad's my world. Like we shared music, we shared baseball, like he was my best friend. You can kind of tell where this story is going based on the way I'm talking. But the first day he was in a coma, they told us there's a 5% chance he would make it through the night, but he was in the ICU, and we were told we had to go home. So my mom and I went home, and kind of collectively and silently, but together, accepted the fact that he was probably going to be gone by morning. And we hadn't slept. Like, it was a whole crazy situation, and I finally fell asleep at like 6 a.m. And I guess my mom went back to the hospital as soon as visiting hours were open, and at some point my aunt came over to stay with me, and I remember just being like shaken to be woken up, and I see her face, and I expect her to tell me that he's gone. Like, that's in the second. And instead what she said is, your dad just called, he's awake, and he's asking for you. So he was in the hospital a week, he came home, he was doing so good for months. Like, he was so good. It got to the point where literally the doctors, he had 5% heart function, and a normal person has like 60% heart function, 55 to 60%. And the doctors didn't think he'd ever even get back to like 15, and then he got to 30, and then in July, the middle of July, they told him it was actually like 56%. So that meant that he had gone from almost dying to normal heart function, and it was incredible. So, like, pause that story and insert the second story here. If you know me, or you watch Vlogumentary, or you follow my blogs, you know I've had health problems for years, lots of years, since like almost my entire time on YouTube. And I've had surgeries, and this July I was getting the surgery that we all thought I need it to get my life back. It was a hysterectomy. I know I'm really young for that. Like, let's not get into that. This decision was not made lightly. It took 7 years. My doctors wouldn't have done it if it wasn't the right thing. So it was July 19th, 2016. And I went in for surgery. I was psyched. Like, I know that sounds weird, but it was like, I knew that it's like, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go through a week or two of pain and recovery, and then I'm going to have my life back for the first time since I was 13. And I woke up, and apparently my surgery took longer than expected because there was a whole thing. It doesn't really matter. If you guys want to know what actually like happened with all of it and what was wrong, like let me know and I'll make a video about that sometime. But I woke up and I turned to the nurse and I was like, I can't feel my arms. And they're like, well, it's kind of like you're just waking up from anesthesia. It's not really a weird thing. And then I was like, I can't move my arms. And I had abdominal surgery, so it was like really weird. So like they're like, it could take a couple minutes, couple hours, and they were going to keep me overnight anyway. So I was brought up. Like, I'm trying to make a really long story short. It was a week. I still, like, by that Friday, I still couldn't feel them, couldn't move them. So I was transferred into the, like, rehab unit, the hospital for physical therapy. And so I was there, in total it was like 2 weeks-ish. It's all kind of a blur. And I got, like, a little bit of movement back. I didn't have any feeling, but I could, like, use, like, 4 of my fingers. 4 or 5 of my... No. 4... I think 4 of my fingers. So I came home on a Thursday. And I sat on the couch with my parents and my dogs, and we just, like, watched TV and hung out, and it was amazing. And I was home, and it was, everything was all really scary with my arms, but I was home and I was like in my own space, and that to me was really important. So the next day was Friday, and I said to my dad, I was like, I want to get out of the house. I've been cooped up in a hospital room for weeks. So we went to the mall, and we had just like such an incredible day, just him and I at the mall. We got tea and just sat and talked, and we went to some of my favorite stores, and we got Chipotle, which I love, and I had forced him to love. But it beat the heck out of me. I was still recovering from both surgery and paralysis, so I went home, and I couldn't sleep that night because I was in pain. So then Saturday came, and I slept all day Saturday, and I remember it was like 9 p.m. Saturday night. I went out into the living room to sit down, and I was watching like a movie with my mom, and my dad had been asleep, and he walked out, and he said, hey, look who's finally here. And I was like, yeah, I woke up, and he was like, all right, well, I'm going to go back to sleep. We'll see you in the morning. And then he made a joke about the fact that it probably wouldn't be the morning because I'm me. So he went back to bed. And, a couple hours later, I went back to bed. My mom had fallen asleep on the couch. And I can see the couch from my bedroom, from where my bed was at the time. And I see my dad come out and get my mom. And it was the same scene that happened when he had the heart attack. Like, it was exact. And I walk into the bedroom, and it's the same thing happening. And he can't breathe. And I start trying to dial 911, but my hands don't work. So I give the phone to my mom, and she gives my dad a hug. And she's like, it's going to be okay. And I was just so stunned that she's on the phone with him. He's like, and she's like holding his hand and sitting. And then he collapses to the floor. And we both knew in that moment what happened. We knew that was it. I called 911 again and told them that he was now unconscious, and I was crying on the phone to the operator. I was begging them to get the ambulance there as fast as possible. They got in. My mom made me go into my room. Our neighbors started coming over because they saw the ambulance again. So I had one of my best friend's moms in my room with me, and with Maddie, my dog, and just trying to keep me calm. Because still, mind you, I just got out of the hospital 3 days ago. They brought him back to life in the house, and they brought him out on the stretcher. My mom came, got me, and she goes, go and give him a kiss, because he was unconscious, and I did. And they brought him to the hospital, and I went to go get in the car with my mom, and she's like, Kel, you can't, you can't be in the hospital like this in the waiting room. which was absolutely the right choice. So I went and I spent the night at our neighbor's house, and he was in a coma, and they were trying a couple of things to see like what was happening, and they told us that we wouldn't really know anything for 18 hours because they were trying to do something to take pressure off of his brain, or there was something, I don't know, I'm not a doctor. He was, and then this was all early Sunday morning, and Monday comes, and by this point, like, family's flown into town. My cousins are there staying with me. My aunt and uncle had been in Canada, and they got, like, I don't know how everyone got here so quickly. And I remember my mom came home from the hospital. My cousin Laura Beth, who I love and is one of my best friends, was here with me, and she tells me that they ran the test and that he was brain dead. And for those of you who might not know, there's nothing that can be done at that point. And I remember just taking a couple of seconds, sitting on the couch, and then running into my room and completely losing it. And the two of them just trying to calm me down. And me, when I could finally breathe again, oh, I didn't want to cry. Turning to my mom, and I was like, what does this mean? And she goes, it means that you're going to take some time to collect yourself. We're going to go up. You're going to say goodbye. And we're going to let him go. Because we had to. So I did. I went up and I went into the room. And one of the things that just makes me the angriest in my whole life is that I lost feeling in my arms because of a mistake that was made during my surgery. And I went to hold his hand as I was saying goodbye to him and to give him a hug and to have my last moments with my dad, and who was my best friend and my dad. And I couldn't feel him. And I am not an angry person. But the most anger that I've ever felt in my life is because of that situation. So I sat with him and I talked to him. And I told him I was still going to make him proud. And that it was okay. And I spent as much time as I could there. And then I walked out because my mom and the rest of my family gave me time by myself because I needed it. And I walked out and I said, I don't think there's anything left for me to say or do. Sorry. And I can't even edit this and cut this out. So we went home. And the next day, I had to go to a doctor's appointment in the morning in the building connected to the hospital where my dad was on life support. And after my doctor's appointment, and I knew this was happening, my mom brought me home, and my cousins were there to stay with me. And she had to go to the hospital to take him off life support. And they thought it could take a couple of days for it to actually happen. For him to actually pass away. But she came home a couple hours later and told me that he was gone. And, I remember being eerily calm and everyone being kind of confused. Me trying to explain that to me, he was gone when they told me he was brain dead because I knew what would happen from there. But then a couple hours went by and I came into my room and I just fell on my floor. I was in the same spot I am right now. And I lost it. So, at that point, my dad was dead. I was still mostly paralyzed. And I had no idea what was going to happen next. I was in insanely intense physical therapy. I have been for the last year. And I got a lot of the use of my hands back. I mean, it wasn't everything by far, but I got, I could function. You know, I never got feeling back. And then, God, I don't even know. It was 2.5 months ago now. I woke up and I was fully paralyzed again. And I went to the emergency room. I was in the hospital for over 2 weeks. They didn't know what was wrong. I got home, like 2 days later, Hurricane Irma was coming, and it was supposed to, like, directly hit our town. I've lived in Florida my whole life. We've never evacuated. We gathered the things that were, like, really important to us, put them in the car with our dog, and me and my mom drove to New Jersey. I saw a specialist in New Jersey who was supposed to be really good. Actually, technically Pennsylvania, I guess. It was in Philly. Who couldn't help me. And now I'm back home, and this is where it stands. This is where we are. You know, doctors keep telling me that this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life and that I need to accept that, but I don't choose to accept that. Like, I'm 21 years old. I'm not going to be paralyzed in both my arms for the rest of my life. That's not an option. So I'm going to keep fighting. I think I might start documenting that here. For a while, I didn't want to because it was like, I didn't want people to feel sorry for the poor girl whose dad died and who's paralyzed in both of her arms. Like, just, like, to put in perspective, that all happened. Me waking up paralyzed and my dad dying happened within 2 weeks. Like, so, yeah, that's where we stand now. I don't know how to make music anymore. I don't really know how to make videos anymore. But I want to. I want to come back. As I said, I want to be back in normal YouTube form by my 10th anniversary. That's my goal. That's my personal goal. And I don't know what that's going to mean, what my videos are going to be, but I hope you guys will stick with me through the journey. You've stuck with me through a lot. So, this video is already really long, but it was as short as I could make this whole story. I didn't want to cry. I did. I have no makeup on because it's like, it's really, really hard for me to put makeup on. I can do it by, like, I put my brushes in my hands with my teeth and then I bend down to it. Maybe, do you guys want a makeup tutorial? I think that would be hysterical. Yeah, I mean, I deal with things with humor, so I did just suggest that I post a paralysis makeup tutorial. I think maybe I'll do it. Like, why not? But I'm gonna go now. There's gonna be a card to click on. A year ago today, Vlogumentary came out, and which, like, unless you've been living under a rock, if you're subscribed to my channel, I was in. And I explain a little bit more about what it is, but it's a video from the day of filming. So I hope that you will watch that. It's a lot happier than this video, I promise. And I promise my future videos will be a lot happier than this video. But yeah, I felt like I owed you guys an explanation, and it was time. You know, it's been over a year, so. And here we are. Still moving on. Still trying to stay strong, so. Thank you. I love you guys. Now I have to try to stop recording this with my toe. Ignore my leggings and my awful feet.